They were playing us all along, guys, and I'm going to show you how the game actually works. You have to understand, when they tell you to look this way, there's a whole nother narrative going on this way. You got to understand the players in the game, the moves that they're making, because remember, your emotions are their profits, and there's only debt in the system. Someone's earning it or someone's paying it. So if you don't understand the simple thing of interest, and that there's no real money in the system, and you don't understand where they're taking us, they're about to lower rates and print a ton of money and devalue the US dollar even more. You better position yourself on the right side of this quadrant. And I'm going to share with you where I believe it's going to land. I did this from 2020 to 2025 and it freed my family financially. From 2025 to 2030, I now created a narrative that I'm sticking with because of my research. I'm encouraging you to do your own research. Don't follow me, do your own research. But you need to understand what happened with MicroStrategies, which was a software company that became a Bitcoin treasury in 2020. You should go watch the interview with Grant Cardone and Michael Saylor just recently. It's a beautiful interview where he breaks down in detail. And he also debunks everybody saying he's going to get liquidated at 74,000. Bitcoin have to drop 90% for a long time in order for him to get liquidated. Understand how his actual ecosystem works. So in 2020, he admits that with the pandemic, everything's shutting down, MicroStrategies was collapsing. And so he made a bold move and he went all in on Bitcoin. He went to his board of directors and he was like, listen, I want to make this bold move in Bitcoin and throw a Hail Mary. They wouldn't let him go all in. He started with 250 million, I believe it was, of $250 million into Bitcoin. That move not only saved MicroStrategies, but became the first Bitcoin treasury. And here's the key. BlackRock, the largest asset manager in the world, Larry Fink, who told you to run from crypto, told you to look this way, who now holds the number 2 position in Bitcoin through their IBIT ETF, was a top holder in MicroStrategies. So think about this. You know that MicroStrategies is going all in on Bitcoin. You're one of the top holders, and their position never decreased. They had 1.2 billion shares on 9/30/2020. When MicroStrategies did this. They had 1.2 billion shares on 12/31/2020 when he knew they were going all in on Bitcoin. On 3/31/21, as he went even heavier into Bitcoin, they didn't decrease their shares. They didn't decrease any of their shares until around 6/30/2022. Then all of a sudden in 2023, Larry Fink's like, I was wrong. Bitcoin is a flight to quality. If you're worried about your countries debasing your currency, Bitcoin might be a good option. And he said, we had no institutional interest before. Now all of a sudden our clients are interested. And within 4 months, they launched IBIT, which became the fastest growing ETF in history. And now they're the second largest holder in Bitcoin outside of Satoshi. MicroStrategies, which is now Strategy B, a Bitcoin treasury, is now the number 3 holder in Bitcoin outside of Satoshi. Next is Grayscale and America. Donald Trump now created the Bitcoin Strategic Reserve. His son Eric Trump created Bitcoin, American Bitcoin, ABTC as a stock ticker. They own the picks and shovels, the mining. They're connected to Hub 8, which is a Bitcoin treasury, and they are the fastest growing Bitcoin treasury this year. They went from 0 Bitcoin to 4,000 Bitcoin in the last 4 months. So here's my narrative and I'm sticking to it. I'm no gatekeeping. I'm gonna share with you exactly what I'm doing so you can save these and come back in 2030 and see if I landed it. Not financial advice, I'm just going to tell you exactly what I'm doing. So here's my narrative. My top holdings by 2030 will be XRP by a long shot. That's my number 1 holding right now. Bitcoin is number 2 right now as we stand. Number 3 is Solana. That's my layer 1. Number 4 is WLFI, World Liberty Financial. XLM, HBAR, and VeChain. But by 2030, my top holdings will be XRP, the bridge currency. Bitcoin, the store of value, gold, digital gold. WLFI, the new DeFi World Bank. It's run by the Trump boys and the Witkoff family, which has the fastest growing stablecoin USD1 and ABTC on the stock side, American Bitcoin. That allows me to own the picks and shovels, which is connected to a Bitcoin treasury, allows me to own the digital gold that they're mining, allows me to own the payment rails that run across the world that move all these transactions. And then WFI is the new DeFi bank that will change the way that we think about banking. And outside of that, I've created companies that create income and cash flow. I move my income and cash flow into dividend stocks that pay me more cash flow, richest man in Babylon. With the cash flow, I de-risk back into what I just shared with you, assets. When I profit in those assets, I use protection. I use cash value life insurance. I have my own family banks. They need to be structured properly, need to be funded properly, and they're cash value life insurance. They need cash in them. That's why they get a bad rap. Because they're set up, the agent never reaches out to you again. They structure them incorrectly, and they don't teach you how to fund them correctly. They're not retirement policies. They're cash value life insurance. They need money in them to work. And there's cost of insurance. But because of tax code 7702A, I can use my cash value life insurance at low leverage, no liquidation risk, at 5% interest to beat the hurdle rate to do what? To richest man in Babylon. Buy more assets, buy more cash flow with zero liquidation risk. And principal is protected, and I have permanent life insurance. That's how winning is done. And then DRs, I de-risk. In my dividends, I de-risk out into Bitcoin and XRP, and now WFI and ABTC, American Bitcoin. That's an ecosystem. It may not work for you, but it's working for me. That's discipline. That's consistency. That's why I don't panic when it's red. I celebrate. And that's why I get nervous when it's green, because people are getting greedy. And I exit into insurance, and I exit into cash flow to wait for everybody to get too greedy, for it to collapse, for me to buy back in, to buy good companies at a fair price. You don't need the next best token or next hopium. You need a system. So I hope this information reaches your heart well. Pay attention. When they tell you to look this way, there's a whole nother narrative going on this way. Warriors, rise! Get your shit together. Love you.